Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. I am Jake Milham, joined as always by the lovely, the soft, soothing voice of Jeremy Greco. Jeremy, how are we feeling today, man?
I always assumed I sounded like Gilbert Gottfried.
Really?
Yeah.
No. I think I could. I think if they remade Aladdin, they wouldn't be knocking down your door, Jeremy. I'm sorry.
Well, could I be the genie then?
Some
Never
big
have
shoes
friend
to
like
fill.
me.
Or a big lamp to fill, if you will. Listen, if you're here for the humor, you got to follow us on social media where we keep the good vibes going over there. TikTok is active once again. Thank you to Jeremy for doing his game vibe checks after almost every single game.
I
This
don't.
West Coast, what?
I don't even know why I call it. Like, why is it a vibe check? What do I mean by that? I don't know. That's just what I'm doing.
Listen, you don't have to have a reason. It's your thing, all right? Like, I mean, come on. I could have.
It's not even alliterative, Jacob. What was I thinking?
All right, we already have enough alliterative Royals things in this sphere. All right, we have Greg's headlines. We have let's just run down a few of them: Royals review, Royals rundown, Royals recaps. What is it? Royals rumblings, Royals rumbles. I mean, like we got enough of the alliteration. I feel like
Maybe. I just feel like I'm
maybe.
being left out right now.
No,
by
you're
my
doing your own
own
thing.
hubris.
You're
Someday
doing your
I'll
own
come
thing,
up with
Fred.
an alliterative name, and then I'll try and switch it, and everyone will be like, "What happened to vibe checks, man?"
Listen, if you want to check out the vibe checks, Jeremy does a good job of posting them on both platforms, both TikTok and X. Those links are down in the podcast description below. But the most important link you could visit today and every day is royalsreview.com for news, analysis, and commentary on all things Kansas City Royals. It could be history. It could be explaining some of this new StatCast stuff that we're seeing. Very important stuff to understand. Plus, you got to think the trade deadline is coming a little faster than you think. All right. The Luis Arias trade really just kind of opened things up, and now anything seems possible on the trade market. So you want to keep tabs on the Kansas City Royals with royalsreview.com. All right, Jeremy. So unfortunately, we couldn't get out of work early. We have to record
We
this during
tried.
first pitch. I know, I really did. I really did try. I was thinking like, oh, well, maybe I'll come down with something. Maybe I'll go have some of that 7-Eleven sushi. Maybe, I mean, how much do I have to actually fake this? Unfortunately, it is the Navy, and not even 7-Eleven sushi could save me from
Oh
work.
no.
I know.
When I was
It
a
is
kid, I thought I was going to join a military branch. I was torn between the Navy and the Air Force because, like, I wanted to be a pilot, but Navy guys can be pilots. They can also do the submarines. I was like, that sounds cool. And then, fortunately for me, I think by the time I reached teenagerhood, I was like, what? No, don't do any of that.
Don't do yeah, listen, man, it's not for everyone, and I'm not gonna make it. I'm not a lifer. Those folks who want to do this for 20 years plus of their life are a special breed, to
I'm a
say
little
the
scared of
least.
them, to be honest.
I think you should be. I think you should be, honestly. Listen, so unfortunately, we'll probably be talking about some of the game results as we go along, but we don't know the final result. Jeremy, I took your nugget last night on the Royals recap, talking about how once again the Royals have ensured they will not be swept in
Oh
a
yeah,
series.
yeah.
Yeah,
This is hugely important.
it is.
If you
It is
want to be a
massive.
consistently good team, you can't afford to get swept very often. And if you're not getting swept, what it means is that all you have to do is win the next series and you're even. The Royals, by winning last night's game and not getting swept, I don't know if you saw this on social media, guaranteed a winning road trip. They've won 4
Oh, that's
games out of 7 on
true.
this road trip. If they win today, it's 5.
That's crazy. And
A winning road trip doesn't matter who your competition is. A winning road trip is great.
Yes, exactly. And you reposted that, like,
Yeah.
the path to 90. So we're like well ahead of that path
We
right
are
now.
we are a game ahead right now.
Hell yeah. Love it. Absolutely love it. So, on that note though, there are some There are some injury things that we do need to get caught up on real quick. I know Kyle Isbell being missing from Monday and Tuesday's lineups was a little concerning. Thankfully, he is in the lineup tonight in the series finale against the Seattle Mariners. Just had a stomach bug,
Yeah.
according to Matt Cutrero.
And some
So
of that
nothing
Seven
too
Eleven
serious.
sushi, probably.
Probably so. Listen, if you're in Seattle, I hope you're not having 7-Eleven sushi, okay? I'm pretty sure they have a better sushi scene out there than here in Virginia.
Yeah, yeah. I would hope so.
I certainly would. But it's good to have him back in the lineup. I feel like I get it. Dairon Blanco, Garrett Hampson each got a start, and at the bottom of the lineup in center field, it just wasn't like, okay, now I see why we like Isbell in the lineup. No,
Yeah.
it was a little rough looking in the field for those two.
Yeah, and I think they're both competent center fielders.
Yeah,
Kyle Isbell, I know he makes it look easy, and I know that no one is happy with his bat. I'm not happy with his bat either, not gonna lie. But like the dude is very good in center field.
he is.
You are if you do not believe that he belongs in this lineup, you are undervaluing how good he is, how much better than the average center fielder, how much better he is than good center fielders.
Mm-hmm.
He is so good out there, it's worth it.
And I know the bar is set pretty low, but he is by far the most valuable Royals outfielder right now on this
Yeah,
team.
well,
Yeah, bar set pretty low. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on. Another injury note. So John Schreiber, Jeremy, I don't know if you were watching the game, but he took that comebacker
very good.
right into his rib cage. That did not look very comfortable. Cutrero said that he has a contusion, but that Schreiber would have exited the game anyways at that
Right.
point. So like that was reassuring. Like
And
that isn't the
he
reason
had
why he
MacArthur
missed.
warming up, so I thought
Yeah.
that was what was going to happen, and it made
Mm-hmm.
sense to me. Like he took the shot, you could leave him out there, probably maybe. Like, but why even ask the question when
Yeah.
MacArthur's ready to go?
Why risk it? Because what at that point you have the game tying home run or game tying runner at the plate,
Yeah,
so you don't want to risk it. Today, bullpen coach Mitch Stetter did say that Schreiber's ribs quote feel fine end quote, and he is technically still available today, even though he threw 29 pitches on Tuesday, so I wouldn't expect to see him in action in the series
um,
finale. But it's good that he's not like we're not talking about an IL trip or like needing to go get scans, stuff like that.
see if we can't get a blowout win and not miss him too much, and also not force him out there.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the key thing. But I'm just happy that it doesn't seem that series for either Isbell or Schreiber. Another positive note that I wanted to point out to Jeremy yesterday, the one and only, your guy, Chris Bubich. Woo. He made his third start down in Arizona, and he started. I missed this. I feel like he started it back on May 7th. So last night was technically his third start. It's not shutout stuff. He's having a little bit of control issues, but he did have 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, no hits, and no earned runs in 1 1/3 innings. So that is good. Good overall. I know the
We're gonna have to move
competition.
him to Northwest Arkansas or Omaha probably pretty soon here, maybe next
Yeah,
start.
I was looking back on what Q had said back when he started the rehab assignment, and yeah, he said a few outings
Yeah.
in ACL. So now we're at 3.
Yeah, and the thing is that he only gets a month to rehab, right?
Yeah.
So if you even want to have a chance of bringing him back straight to the major league roster when his rehab is done, then you're going to need him pitching in AAA. And the odds of that don't feel great right now. The starting rotation is in a pretty good spot, minus. We'll talk about that more later, maybe. But and he's still got options. So what they could do is activate him and then demote him to AAA, and let him continue rehabbing, getting his feel for his control back,
Mhm.
and then be ready to promote him again later.
Yeah, My gut is saying that his next affiliated start is going to be in like high A. Like I could
Okay.
see him going to Quad Cities and then like one or two games there, make the jump to Arkansas, and I don't know. I just the starting rotation in Omaha is not all that inspiring, but I don't think he's like the solution there, and like that's not the team's priority. So I bet you he ends.
Our rotation in Omaha is we got to demote Alec Marsh to save the Omaha rotation.
That sounds like a Omaha Royals move right there. Um, so I'm glad to see that he is back. At least he's made 3 starts between May 7th and May 15th. So he is like it's looking okay. It's I don't have like the number of pitches or strikes or anything like that, of course, because it's Arizona. But that's a positive note. Anything else on that, Jeremy, before we move on?
There's a couple other guys that are working their way back. Carlos Hernandez is getting close
Mm-hmm.
to the end of his rehab period, and they'll have to either call him up or they'll have to take someone off the 40-man roster for both of those guys, and they can demote them to Omaha, but somebody's got to come off the 40-man. So moves are coming. We're
They
not
are.
we're not going to be static forever here, though. They also, and maybe we were trying to save this for later. I'm not sure. I'm struggling to remember
Just go
things
for it.
today.
Just go for it,
But
man.
tomorrow they have an off day,
Yeah.
and off days are great times to make roster moves. So I could see them. And based on the way the team has played this year, we've been through a quarter of a season. We've kind of seen where the highs and the lows are. I really think they need to be aggressive and start making some changes around here. What
I
those changes will look like, not sure, but we could probably stand to swap a reliever or two, and
Mhm.
even a position player or two.
Yeah, I think there are plenty of candidates right now. Like we're at the point in the season where the tier system for each group is fairly like set, and I don't think that folks are going to elevate or demote themselves quickly right now. So let's go and talk about Nelson Velasquez, man, because he's kind of the primary target right now.
Yeah,
And I penned an article for Kings of Kaufman. It was probably about a week ago now, talking about, hey, the Royals, they just need a break from Nelson Velasquez right now. It's not working out. He's struggling. They're struggling because of it. And lo and behold, he goes and has a solid road trip. It's solid for what's the word? For grading on his 2024 curve.
grading
You know what I mean?
grading by Royals outfielders, sure.
Ooh, yeah. I mean,
So
794 OPS, 122 weighted runs created plus. Go ahead, Jeremy.
give me the strikeouts.
50%.
Yeah, that's not sustainable. That's what I'm talking about. So yeah, when he's hitting the ball, he's hitting the ball. That's good. He had that home
Yeah.
run last night. That was a blast by the new metric, which I think we're going to talk about a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
It was a hard swing, fast swing, but he is striking out like nobody's business. He's just swinging at everything. It looks like he's trying to pull everything, and he thinks
Yeah.
everything's a fastball. And that means you throw him an off speed or a breaking pitch, and he's nowhere near it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to work. And he is the best of the corner outfielders right now. Hunter Renfroe not doing anything. MJ Melendez looks completely lost at the plate again. There's no answers for the outfield in Kansas City right this second.
Exactly. And I do feel like there are a couple of short-term answers lying in Omaha right now. A lot of folks are clamoring for, let's see, Drew Waters. He is performing in Omaha, and I think that's the common sense move right now.
Yeah.
Is you have to pick one of the two and swap them out with Drew, but like that's it. It's not like you can send down both A and Nelson
Why
and
not?
then bring up two other guys. Well, because I like Tyler Gentry isn't performing right now. John Rave isn't on the 40 man. Diego Hernandez isn't on the 40 man anymore, and he's down in Double A. The outfield
What about
group,
so here's the thing is that the outfield for the Royals covers designated hitter too.
yeah,
Whoever is the designated hitter is almost always an outfielder. Even Adam Frazier, when he's been the designated hitter like 3 times, yeah, he plays outfield too. So fine, he's an outfielder. So you've got a couple of guys down there that I think would be interesting to take a look at. Obviously, Nick Lofton, I think everyone would like to see as a utility guy, and then maybe Dairon Blanco gets more playing time in the outfield.
Mm-hmm.
I think that CJ Alexander could make some sense. I think Devin Mann could make some sense. Now, I don't know
Okay.
if any of these guys are solutions, but we're kind of to the point, and I wrote this in my text vibes last night because I did not have the energy to record a video after that game. I was like, I'm texting this and I'm going to bed. The point we're reaching the point where the offensive situation for the Royals is getting a little bit dire. They won that game last night off of Nelson Velasquez's one swing, and he struck out in his other three at bats.
Yeah,
The last home run before Nelson Velasquez was Adam Frazier to win that game against the Angels. Are
man.
we counting on guys who can't hit to hit home runs to win us games? Is that a winning strategy? I don't feel like it is. And
No.
I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. and Salvador Perez have been hot all year. They're not even hitting home runs. Vinny Pasquantino's kind of in another slump. Michael Massey's entered a slump. Michael Garcia stopped hitting home runs after the first couple of weeks of the year. Um, they could use a little bit of power. They could use a little bit of on base. Just
Mm-hmm.
they got to try something different. If they're not ready to make a trade move, and making a trade move is going to be hard because they don't have a deep farm system and because they don't really have a position that they can trade from as far as the major league level, unless they want to
Mm-hmm.
start dealing relievers. Maybe they can trade Chris Stratton. Maybe somebody thinks they can
Maybe
do something with him. Would Chris Stratton get you Mauricio Dubon? I don't know. That would be an interesting question if he
it
would,
would.
though. I would probably do that deal just because they have this reliever is like the one position of strength that they have. But
Mm-hmm.
they're also the guys in AAA that were all like, yeah, why aren't they up here pitching? They're all unproven, right?
Yeah.
Walter Pennington never pitched at the big league level. Will Klein has one game at the big league level. John McMillan is struggling. Sam Long struggled for 3 years before joining the Royals.
Yeah.
And so is he a 4A player or did the Royals fix him? Apparently the Royals just add sliders to everybody and it fixes everything.
Apparently, that's the winning solution, I guess.
Did they add a slider to Sam Long? I don't know, but yeah,
And I agree with your statement from earlier on that they're coming back from the West Coast. Like this off day is gonna be the prime time to make some roster shuffling. Insert plug here for follow Royals Review and Royals Rundown on X to stay up to date on any rumors or updates on that question mark. We'll see what happens. I'm looking at their outfield options on the 40-man roster that are not in Kansas City right now. And it's just Tyler Gentry and Drew Waters. And then you have Nick Lofton and Nick Prado who can play corner outfield. Like they can do it. I don't know if they're like,
is Mann not on the 40-man roster? I thought he was.
Devin Mann is not on the 40-man
All right.
roster. So
So if
that
they want to
is
try Mann or Alexander, somebody's going to have to come off the 40-man.
exactly. And I definitely think that there are some bullpen guys that they have options to move on from. Matt Sauer is a primary guy right now.
Colin Selby is another one I
Yeah,
think you can move on from pretty easy. And
Colin
honestly, at this
Selby.
point, I don't think they don't have a lot of resources tied up in Tyler Duffy. He hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been great.
Yeah, and I think those three are kind of the leading guys to cut or the leading relievers. You can get into the weeds and talk about would they let go Austin Nola? What would they do with Garrett Hampson? If Garrett Hampson's still getting starts, I don't think they're like ready to move on from him yet. We might get there in a month or two, much to fans' chagrin. So let's answer this question once and for all, Jeremy. Nelson Velasquez's West Coast road trip,
Yeah.
has that earned him more time in Kansas City?
I mean, yes, but only because Hunter Renfroe and MJ Melendez have been so bad. If
Okay.
either one of them was doing anything, that 50% strikeout rate is just it's bad,
It
Jacob.
is.
It is really bad. And it's kind of going under the radar a little bit because, he's got a 5-game hitting streak. Woo! He
Yeah,
hit the game winning home run. Woo! But that's too many strikeouts.
it is. It really is.
Unfortunately, none of the corner outfielders look like they have a clue what they're doing right now. Adam Frazier is playing third base and leading off today, and he might be the best hitting corner outfielder right this second for the Royals.
And that's pretty sad considering he hasn't played corner outfield in what, like 4 games now, I think is
Yeah.
what we're looking at. So I wouldn't be opposed to seeing more of Adam Frazier in a corner outfield spot and keeping his bat in the lineup.
He brings that situational hitting, Jacob.
He
I know that's
really
your favorite
does.
thing.
Oh my goodness. Rex, that's situational hitting, man. You've been missing it. You've been
Speaking
missing.
speaking of Rex, yeah, he's been missing this whole road trip. We had Mike Sweeney in Anaheim, and we
Yep.
have Jeremy Guthrie here in Seattle, and they both sound alike to me. And they also both sound like Jeff Montgomery. How did the Royals have so many former players turned into commentators, temporary color commentators, who all sound the same?
Guthrie and Sweeney sound very similar to, like, eerily similar to me.
When I first heard Sweeney, I thought he was Monty. When I first heard Guthrie, I thought he was Sweeney.
It's too funny. Honestly, yeah. Do you have a preference over Sweeney and Guthrie? I'm kind of preferring Guthrie right now over Sweeney.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mike.
Like, no hard
I was a
feelings,
big
man.
fan of yours when you were a player. His takes are not great.
Yeah, and
It's a
to
lot
be
of
honest,
factual stuff wrong.
on some of the pitch by pitch stuff, Guthrie was having that issue too
Was
last
he?
night against Seattle. Yeah, it
Wasn't
was.
paying close attention to that one. Sorry.
Well,
Was
no,
half
it's
asleep.
and it's okay. And truthfully, I don't know what like real time data is available to broadcasters in the booth there.
Yeah.
But like when we're hearing them talk about curveballs and like the pitcher's throwing multiple sliders back to back, it's just like come on, man. That's just not matching up. My eyes aren't matching what my ears are hearing, and it's
Mhm.
off putting a little bit. But I think though they're both two good options. I just prefer
Monty's my
Guthrie.
favorite out of the three, easily. I
Really,
feel like he always brings a ton of interesting insight as far as pitching goes.
he's listened his the pregame and postgame Royals Live is pretty good for that reason. Listen, I want to say this about I've been seeing some like what's the word? Some negative words towards Rex
Here we
since
go
he's
again
been
every
missing.
year.
Yeah, and Rex isn't perfect, but talking about him in a bad light because he's visiting his 92-year-old father out on the West Coast.
Oh, is that what they're saying?
Yeah.
No, shut up, all of you. Go visit your dad.
Yeah. Go out and touch grass.
I
All right?
thought this was the usual, oh, Rex is so dumb. Yeah, Rex is dumb, but who else are you going to get to say I love it when he drops a deuce on the corner?
And I used that for the Royals recap description when in the series opener against the Mariners. The Kansas City Royals drop a deuce on the corner against Seattle. No, it's Rex is lovable. He ain't perfect, but he's ours. That's how I always put it.
I was right there with a lot of people on like I do not like Rex even through 2013, but in 2014 when the Royals were winning, his excitement for the team was infectious to me. And I
Mm,
feel like he's not a great announcer when the team is bad because he's always excited. And when the team is bad, you're just like, dude, just no, they're bad. But when the team is good, it's like, yeah, all right, let's get hyped together. Let's have fun together.
yeah,
And the team is, I hate to tell y'all this, they're good right now. They're
they
good.
are.
I know you don't want to hear it. I know you're all telling me, no, they're bad. They're so bad. Why are you doing this? No, they're good right now.
Just admit it and enjoy the ride. All right, it is. I am hoping that this homestand in Kansas City is just going to be absolutely raucous. We have the 2014 celebration. The Athletics are coming to town.
I'm so sad I'm missing that, to be honest. The
I am too,
interlocking
man.
HDH bobbleheads sounds like one of the best marketing ideas the Royals have ever had.
Yeah, that is a win, my friend. That is an absolute win. So sticking with the Royals of today, though, I feel like we have to talk about James MacArthur,
Yeah.
who got he did get his 10th save of the season
Was
last
it his
night.
10th? I thought it was his ninth.
It was his 10th.
All right. I can't count.
But he did allow another home run, this time to Mitch Haniger. And that is his fourth home run in his last 5 outings
Yeah.
since May 5th. Like that's not what you want to see from your ninth inning guy. I'm
No.
gonna stick with that term rather than closer because he can't close out a game apparently. I do want to hear your thoughts on it, Jeremy, because when you look at it's it's very split. Like on one hand, you could see, okay, James MacArthur is tied for the third most saves in the AL. That's great. He's striking out guys at a decent clip, or he's not walking guys at a decent clip. But you see a 4.58 ERA and you see 4 home runs in his last 5 outings. It's just very polarizing.
So the thing for me about James MacArthur is that the first 2 home runs he gave up, that both blue games,
Mm-hmm.
sucked, and they were bad curveballs.
Yep.
Bad curveballs. Watching him pitch last night, I was actually a little encouraged,
Okay.
despite the home run, because it felt like the bite was back on his breaking stuff, and the hard stuff was a little bit harder. Felt like his stuff was back. The
Yeah.
problem last night to me was that I felt like he had some kind of mechanical issue. All of his pitches were getting yanked to the glove side, except for the fastball that ended up down the middle, which
Mm-hmm.
maybe it was supposed to, go back outside. It was a two seamer, so I think maybe it was supposed to cut back outside and have him flailing at it because it was a lefty batter, and it ended up right down the middle. So if it's a mechanical issue, but his stuff is back, I feel like that's something that you can fix hopefully pretty quickly. I'm concerned. 4 home runs in 5 games is a lot, but there was also a time in 20 when Kelvin Herrera gave up 3 home runs in one game. Maybe it was in a very short
Woo.
stretch.
Woo.
Uh, and I know Atlanta. He lost a game in Atlanta because of it. But 2014, Kelvin Herrera is remembered as one of the best relief seasons of all time.
Yeah.
So this could be a bump in the road that does not going to register by the end of the year. And fingers crossed, I'm hoping that's what it is. I think there's a reason to hope that's what it is. This is not just like, well, I don't know what else to do, though that is also true. I don't know who your closer is if it's not James MacArthur.
Well, and you pointed this out when we were planning out this show is that they had Angel Zerpa
Yeah,
warming up in the bullpen behind MacArthur just in case things went south very quickly. And I thought that was, I don't know, that's kind of like the common sense next step if they
yeah.
have to make
If
one.
the 789 for this team is ZSM,
Ooh,
Zerpa Schreiber, which actually rolls off the tongue a little bit easier, I think. Zerpa Schreiber MacArthur.
yeah.
And Schreiber had already pitched, so Zerpa was the last guy. What was interesting to me about that is that it was Zerpa, not Smith, who has been allegedly pitching better. He's still not getting his strikeouts, so that concerns me. But Zerpa's been pitching extremely well.
Yes.
He has been, I think, the biggest surprise in the bullpen because I believed in MacArthur and I did not believe in Schreiber. I was like, he could be good. I don't know. He probably will be at least okay. I thought Zerpa. I was like, why is this guy here? Why is Zerpa here? He's looked so good that I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, seventh inning guy, great. I would even if he's the eighth inning guy, okay. If they have to move MacArthur and then Schreiber takes over the ninth inning and Zerpa takes over the eighth inning, I guess that could work. But you're getting real thin then, right? Because
Yeah.
then you're
Yeah.
down to 2 guys that you think you can count on, and
Exactly.
they're both also gonna give up runs sometimes. These guys are not guys with 0.0 ERAs here.
True.
So I want
But
to have at least 3 guys.
yeah, I do want to say they are pretty damn close to giving up 0 runs, though. Angel Zerpa has the longest scoreless streak regarding innings amongst all Royals relievers at 6 1/3. He last gave up a run on April 24th against the Toronto Blue Jays. All right, it is May 15th, my friends. This guy is he's been shut out.
How
Also,
many appearances is that? Just to make sure that
that's
it's
not
not
that
something
many.
stupid. Okay,
That
it's like it's 3 appearances. Well,
yeah, I completely understand that. This is his last. Let's look at his last 5 though. All right, dating back to May 3rd. 4 2/3 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts. Like
Yeah.
that is good.
Yeah.
That is very good.
I like it.
And like you said, let's give credit to Will Smith where it's due. He has the second longest scoreless streak, believe it or not, in the Royals bullpen. Like he only has 1 strikeout in his
Yeah.
last 5.
I'm 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 real glad that Q looked at that and said, "Yeah, I know I said you were the closer before the year started, and I know you're on a scoreless streak, but no strikeouts means no pitchy and 90."
And his slider just does not have the bite that it used
Nope.
to. Like that was the 4 seam and a slider. That was his bread and butter for the longest time. Now it just doesn't break as hard as it used to, and it's kind of tough to watch. Onel Zarpa, on the other hand, though, he's still got that like starter pitch mix right now, which is I absolutely love it. His 4 seam velocity has jumped. Like we're seeing him hit
Yeah,
97 in
that's
game.
that's the thing, is that
Mm-hmm.
fastball velocity is way higher than I thought it would be. And he's
Yep.
still throwing it inside to guys and they're bailing out. And then he's like, all right, now that you're terrified, let me throw something on the outer edge. Oh, you're done.
Yep. And he is, yeah. Let's see. What is his? Does he have he might have the best strikeout rate in this bullpen right now.
It's
Strikeout
either
guys
him or
that,
MacArthur. They're the
let's
only
see
ones
here.
striking anybody out.
It is, yeah. So Zerpa has the best strikeout rate in this
Wow.
bullpen right now, 28.4% of the opposition. So that will absolutely play.
Yeah,
Love
absolutely.
seeing that from him. Really do. All right, let's go ahead and keep it moving here, Jeremy. I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. You wanted to talk about Michael Wacha,
Yeah.
who had another quality start last night.
Yeah.
Looked very much in control and kept Kansas City in the game because the bats weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
But thanks to him, that Nelson Velasquez home run was the difference. Let's hear about Wacha, man.
So Michael Wacha kind of famously added the slider in his first start of the road trip against the Angels, and they talked about it in the broadcast as if he added it just kind of in between. They just started learning it in between starts, and then last night they were talking about, oh, he's been learning it since spring training, and that's kind of where I said, well, everybody learns a slider. John Schreiber came in, started, or not, excuse me, not John Schreiber. James MacArthur came in, started throwing a slider. Cole Reagans came in, started throwing a slider again. And the interesting thing to me about these guys with these sliders is that the slider did not instantly become Reagan's or MacArthur's best pitch. It just added to their repertoire in a way that gave hitters something else to think about and made their other pitches play up. And it looks like it's doing the same thing for Wacha. I think it was David Lesky in his newsletter this morning had an excellent breakdown of which pitches, because they're still being classified as cutters, which pitches were likely sliders last night and how effective it was. And it wasn't all, it was a lot of balls and only a couple of swings. And I think it was one whiff. So not super effective on its own, but he threw it a bunch and the batters didn't know what to do with it, which stands in huge contrast to Brady Singer's start against the Mariners, in which he continued his trend of throwing fewer changeups and fewer four-seam fastballs and relying only on the slider and only on the sinker. And he could not locate, I think it was the sinker was the one he really couldn't locate, and he got shelled, which is one of the reasons I'm not convinced that Brady Singer is going to be in the rotation come the All-Star break. I think his slider and his fastball are good enough, especially if the velocity played up a little bit because he was going in shorter appearances. I think that could work in the bullpen for an inning or two, but it's not working over 6 or 7, not consistently.
No.
And I'm afraid that we're going to see more outings like the one against the Mariners, which, by the way, do not have a good offense. And they looked like a good offense against Brady.
Yeah, they really did.
And
they really did.
Even in the last few starts, when he's pitched well, he's not pitched deep into games because he's been fighting his control and throwing 2 pitches. So this is as much a comparison between like Wacha was struggling. Here's what he did to get better was he started throwing a pitch that's not very good, but it's enough to make people think about other things. And Brady Singer, who will not throw another pitch. And we're like, just throw a bad pitch. Just make them think about anything else. And he won't do it.
Nope.
And if he's not going to do it, that's it. I'm done. I'm ready to move on. Put him in the bullpen. Put him in the back of the bullpen. We could use a little bit of that back of the bullpen help. And Lynch can come back up. Chris Bubich might be ready soon. we just got to do something. I can't stand this anymore. I know there's a lot of people out there who are huge Brady Singer fans. I am fed up with the unwillingness to throw a third pitch.
And yeah, I'm cannot. I think it was in the Royals recap where I vented about this, so I don't want to unload again. And the game level results are still okay for Brady on the season. I get that statistically he's still looking okay, but the eye test, man, just watching him in these games and any other pitcher. We've seen Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha, even Cole Reagans do it this year. Like, okay, they're absolutely shelling pitch number one. So let's throw less of pitch number one and throw some more 2, 3, and 4. I'm sorry, when you have a 2-pitch mix and you continue throwing the sinker and they're absolutely hitting the piss out of the sinker and you still throw the freaking sinker, what, like, that doesn't make any competitive sense to me.
Brady Singer is in a rotation with 4 other guys who throw 8 pitches each. And he's like, I got to bring that average down.
Let's bring it back down to elementary level here.
Because Cole Reagans throws a fastball, he throws a cutter, he throws a curve, he throws a slider, he throws a change. Famously, Seth Lugo throws 8 or 9 pitches. Wacha has a curve, a change, a fastball, and he's added a slider. And I'm pretty sure he's got more than one kind of fastball. And then Alec Marsh famously kind of has 5 or 6 pitches that he chooses from every night. And I think one of the reasons he's had success this year, and one of the things I always liked about Alec Marsh was how many pitches he had. And this year, it looks like he's figuring out which pitch to throw faster. So, and meanwhile, Brady Singer's only got 2 pitches to choose from. So I guess it helps him figure out which one he's going to throw. It also helps the batters know which one he's going to throw.
Precisely. So I think that's where the frustration regarding Brady Singer is coming from for myself as well, Jeremy. And I get it. This has really split Royals fans, I think, because there's a lot of people who still like look at the results as a season and see Brady succeeding. But there are folks who are like watching every single start and we see there's no middle ground in his starts. He's either completely on and both those pitches are working and he's missing bats and he's looking like the guy that they drafted in 2018. But then other times he's looking like a 4A starter who got thrown out there because of injury. Like there's no in between.
Yeah, there's no arguing that the sinker and the slider are good. They're both very good pitches. But no pitcher, even his best pitch, is working correct every night. And when you only have 2 pitches, when one of them isn't working, now you're a 1-pitch pitcher. And if you're a 1-pitch pitcher, you're going to get hit by major league hitters every time. There is nobody who can throw 1 pitch and all night long and get away with it.
Not even the best relievers.
Nope. Even Mariano Rivera and his nasty, famous cutter, he threw some other pitches in there every once in a while just to keep people honest.
And like, okay, so let's talk about the flavor. I don't want to say flavor of the month because I want to believe it's going to last longer. Jason Miller with the Oakland Athletics. Everyone talks about the velocity. Everyone talks about the fastball. But it's his slider. It's his curveball. Those are what makes the opposition look silly.
Yeah.
And that's what makes him so successful.
Well, and I mean, we can even talk about Cole Reagans. He was Cole Reagans, and then he came to Kansas City, and he became Cole Reagans. How did he do that? He added a slider. He added a pitch that made them. And again, this is what the Royals have been doing with their pitching coaching: is adding pitches to guys and saying it doesn't have to be good; it just has to be enough to make them think about something else. And it's working. We're watching it work over and over and over again. Brady Singer has so many examples of just add another pitch and you'll be okay, and he won't add another pitch.
And what is really astounding me is I heard Zach Bove, assistant pitching coach, talk about this on the pregame show and talking about the culture change that Wacha and Lugo have not really spearheaded, but they've accelerated, I guess. Like they foster that. We see all these pitching meetings. We saw Brady Singer warming up ahead of his start with the TrackMan, and we saw all the other starters around him. And I just don't get, like, I hope that one or two of them are just whether it be as a group or individually, just going to Brady is like, hey man, this is what you need to do. If you don't want to have another start like you did against Seattle, this is what you need to do, and it's have a more diversified pitch mix. I think that's the simple solution.
One of the things that I one of the things I disliked about Cal Eldred was that he couldn't get Brady Singer to listen that he needed another pitch. I'm like, that's something you need to be able to do as a pitching coach.
Yeah,
These pitching coaches have been very effective. I am a big fan of Brian Sweeney and Zach Bove and everybody else working with them. They have done amazing work. Brady Singer won't listen to them either. At this point, the problem is not the coaching.
no, and I think that's apparent.
And
All right,
that's
man. Oh,
that's why I said trade. Last year I wrote an article a lot of people didn't like. I said extend Bobby Witt Jr., trade Brady Singer. People said, why would you do that? He's been so good. Why would you do that? And then other people, of course, said, why would you do that? He's at his lowest possible value. He's only going to get better. Why would you do that? And like, because I don't think he is. I think this is as good as it gets.
and I do want to say this, unless things take a quick turn, whether it be on an individual level or a team level, I don't think a competitive Royals team would take the chance on trading away Brady Singer. I don't love Alec Marsh and some of the options in AAA as much as the next guy, but all it takes is like one more injury, one more struggling starter, and the season goes off the rails.
I do think Brady Singer could be hugely valuable in the bullpen because two
Yeah,
pitches is
I
enough to
agree.
get you through an inning or two.
I would like to. Maybe that's something I do for Kings of Kaufman. I'll look at his first 3 innings in
Yeah.
any given start and see how his stuff is moving,
Well,
how effective he is.
the other thing you have to remember is that he would not be pacing himself as a reliever, so that still makes it
Yeah.
different from the first 2 or 3 innings of a start. He would just be
Well,
going out there and firing it.
and maybe that's what we're discounting with Angel Zerpa. He came up as a starter.
Yeah. The I thing is, we saw him relieve last year, and I didn't feel like his stuff played up that much. But maybe he wasn't thinking like a reliever last year when he was pitching in relief.
Yeah, and I'll have to go back and look, but I still think that when he started out in 2023, they were having him as a starter at the minor league level, kind of like what they were doing with Anthony Veneziano, where he was still in the rotation, but they called him up and he would only come out of the bullpen. Now he's out of the bullpen full time. I don't know. Now we're getting in the weeds. If we want to get in the weeds, the place to get in the weeds apparently now is with this Statcast bat tracking
Oh, yeah.
data. So if y'all have been underneath a rock, or if you haven't watched a game in the last week or so, this new bat tracking data has been in the broadcast. It's been talked about on social media, in articles everywhere. But the real question is, what is it really? I all right. Let's start here. Speed swing, sweet spot of the barrel, and blasts. All right. What does all that mean? I forget who's actually putting the article together for Royals Review, but I know that there's a Royals centric take on all this coming out soon. What fans now have access to is the
Royal
average
treatment put
bat.
one out.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So go check that out. But now you can see, okay, who has the fastest average bat speed, and how does that affect things? Who has the best bat speed rate of where they're at? How long is a player's swing? And how does that affect things? I think it was funny that Luis Arias, who was notably traded from the Marlins to the Padres, he has one of the slowest swings in the league with one of the shortest swings in the league, but yet he's a batting champion. There's no perfect formula in this right now. Jeremy, have you had a chance to look through just some of the basic stuff on this?
Yeah, I've browsed through some of it. The interesting thing about Arias is not only is he one of the slowest swingers, but he makes sure that he gets the ball flush more regularly than everybody else. So he doesn't hit it with a huge amount of exit velocity, but he doesn't hit it with a small amount of exit velocity or hit it weakly or top it a lot. He hits it solidly almost every time. Whereas Giancarlo Stanton he never doesn't swing full speed. He's far and away the fastest swinger in baseball, but he doesn't always
Yeah.
hit. So when he does hit it flush, it goes a long, long way, but he doesn't always hit it flush. So there's some kind of an interesting comparison of like, yeah, swinging the bat fast sounds good. It can provide a higher exit velocity, but if you're not in control when you're swinging it that hard, it may not help you. So that leaves us with Juan Soto and Bobby Witt Jr. and a couple of other guys. I can't remember who they are off the top of my head. I think Gunnar Henderson's one of them. These are guys that regularly swing the bat hard and also flush contact with the ball. So that's company that Bobby wants to be in, and it's working out for him. The interesting thing to me about a blast is it's very similar, kind of to me at least, in concept to a barrel, in that the idea of a blast is you hit the ball, you swing hard, and you hit the ball flush. And they tell how you hit the ball, how if you hit the ball flush by what the maximum theoretical velocity of the batted ball should be based on pitch velocity and bat velocity. And so that it's kind of a similar concept to the barrel, but the difference is that the barrel also takes into account launch angle. So you can hit it 200 miles an hour, but if you hit it straight up, it's still not a barrel because you hit it straight up. If you hit it into the ground, it's still not a barrel. A blast doesn't seem to care about exit velocity. So you can hit a ground ball that's a blast. So that, to me, makes it seem like it's not as useful necessarily, but it doesn't hurt either. For example, Nelson Velasquez's home run last night was a blast because he swung the bat over 76 miles an hour, which is pretty near the top. I think Giancarlo Stanton's average is 80, like I said, and he's far and away above everybody else. So 76 miles per hour, and it went 108 miles per hour off the bat. So they're like, yep, that's a blast. And it was a 3-run home.
Yeah, and so you talk about blasts. I think the most valuable measurement that I'm looking at out of all of this is the squared up rate, because that's where, like, that's more of a accessible rate, I guess is what it is. Like blasts, they seem like if it's a blast, it's a blast. If it's not, it's not. There's not a whole lot of middle ground. But what is a squared up ball? So MLB.com had a good example, so I'm going to use it. I don't want to overthink this. Ellie De La Cruz smashed a home run against the Milwaukee Brewers. He swung 77.3 miles an hour against a 93.6 mile per hour pitch. So using the math and looking at the angle, the maximum exit velocity he could have generated was 114.8 miles an hour, which would be amazing. Like, holy smokes, that's a bullet off the bat. He actually generated 112.3. So that's 98% squared up, which is in the sweet spot of the bat, and you can get into the semantics there. But so we talked about Arias. He has a very high squared up rate. Doesn't have a whole lot of blasts. He has an extremely high squared up rate.
Right, because the blast is squared up and you swung fast, and he doesn't swing fast.
Which, here's something surprising. So let's look at just the Royals results real quick. Michael Garcia actually leads all Royals batters in squared up rate, which I thought was very surprising.
It's not hugely surprising to me. Michael Garcia's biggest problem this year has been that if it's in the air, it's opposite field. If it's on the ground, it's pulled. So they're able to shift him very easily.
That's true.
And that's what's led to a lot of his outs is like he hits it right at the right fielder. He hits a dart, but it's right at the right fielder because the right fielder's playing him exactly where he's going to hit it because he hits it there every time.
True. So, truth be told, all this stuff is on Baseball Savant. Jeremy, I'll openly admit this. I don't know 100% what we're looking at yet. A lot of this data is not. It's not. What you say?
Nobody does. We're making so okay. Luis Arias always gets hits, and he always gets, he squares it up and he doesn't swing hard. So maybe that makes sense that he hits all these singles because he doesn't swing hard, but he always squares it up.
Yeah.
But we don't know. We're just guessing. It's going to take years of this data before we can form any kind of conclusions on it.
And that's somewhat of the frustrating thing about this is the publicly available data only goes back to the beginning of the season. So we don't have like a whole lot of historical trends to build off of here from the public. I am very, very certain that teams have their own data available to them that they're processing right now. So I'll keep an eye on it, see how it changes, how, should we really be expecting more from Michael Garcia? Because I think this does strengthen the expected stats, though. Jeremy, what do you think about that?
I I I mean, I already believed that Michael Garcia was going to be something. He's actually been quietly pretty good since that stretch of awfulness, that one road trip where he didn't get a single hit. MJ Melendez didn't bounce back. Michael Garcia did. And I know his stats aren't great, but he's getting on base. I don't know what more you could ask from him.
If you go look at his baseball savant page, he's kind of turned things around. There's a lot more red on that page than previously.
I mean, honestly, there was a pretty good amount of red even when he was struggling. He's since he got promoted last year, he's hit the ball hard. He just doesn't seem to come up with a lot of hits, and again, it seems to be because he's very easy to shift on. And I don't know what the fix is for that, unfortunately.
That is, I'll leave that up to Zoomwalt to figure that one out.
Yep.
All righty, man. Anything else Royals related that we are missing before we get on out of here?
No, we got to get out of here though, because they're going. Adam Frazier's already committed an error at third base, and the Mariners are in the lead.
Adam, stop it!
Alec Marsh did not have a great second inning, unfortunately.
Man,
he's thrown 60 pitches already.
Holy smokes, dude! All right, well, listen, let's go ahead and get the Spotify Q&As, and then we'll hit up some reviews real quick.
Sounds good.
If y'all are listening for the first time, go check us out on Spotify. You have access to our polls and Q&As over there, and we ask a question after every single episode, and then we read your responses on the next episode. So I asked y'all after our last episode, what is one area or player you are worried about? Got some pretty good answers here. Royal Rupert said, walks. Please give me more free bases. Steve said Salvi, because the team absolutely cannot afford to have him get hurt for any length of time. I actually believe we have enough pitching depth, although you can probably never have enough. I agree with both those points, Steve. Corey Michael says 6 through 9 of the lineup, and unfortunately, that's mostly your outfielders. Nate Hodge says corner outfield bats. Does Blanco have what it takes to play every day? I think it's time to give Waters a chance, even though he does strike out too often in Omaha, or is it time to make a trade? What about all the above? Nate, what about just, I want A, B, and C. Let's make it happen. Christopher Palmer says MJ Melendez. That's it. Yeah, his fielding has gotten much better, but the bat is way below the Mendoza line right now.
His fielding turnaround has been nothing short of miraculous. He is actually at least an average left fielder this year, and he's doing very well with his throwing, which makes sense, but that means he's putting himself in a position with good footwork to make good, accurate throws.
Very true.
If he
and
could
then
just
lastly, that would be nice. That'd be a luxury that I think we could afford as a baseball team. And then Aaron Bailey said the bottom third of the order, it is a black hole for the most part. And yeah, that it is, unfortunately. Outside of Nelson Velasquez on Tuesday night. That is about it. All righty, Jeremy, you got a quick review for us tonight?
How about a preview? I'll give you a preview. I pre-ordered this book, Baseball the Movie, which is a confusing name for a book, but there you have it.
Yeah.
It's a book about baseball movies. I haven't read it yet, but it's getting rave reviews, and obviously I am something of a baseball movie connoisseur. past few years doing the baseball movie reviews in the off season. So I'm really looking forward to reading it and getting whatever insight I can about those baseball movies, and then hopefully sharing some of that or a review or something on Royals Review at some point.
I would love to hear that. That sounds like some great off-season content to me. My review, real quick tonight, is over McDonald's iced coffee. Honey was having a craving for McDonald's chicken nuggets the other day, and I was feeling a little tired, so I was like, you know what? They have an offer for a free iced coffee. I'll just get one of those. And man, oh man, when I tell you this thing is sweeter than an ice cream sundae, it's disgusting. And I don't know how you can get sweet tastes and then still get that hint of burnt coffee. It's truly miraculous what McDonald's can do to ruin a coffee drink. So don't go get that, even if it's free. It's still a bad time. Jeremy, anything else on McDonald's or Royals baseball before we get on out of here?
Man, I know it's bad for me, but I still love a McDouble with no onions. Just like sometimes I'm just just give me a McDouble, man. Like, I know it's not good. I know it's not good for me. I just need a McDouble.
I cannot tell you how many drunken nights ended with a trip to McDonald's. Like there's something comforting.
Waffle House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so most of my escapades were in Maryland, and Waffle House is not a Maryland staple. So it was Mickey D's. That was always open 24 hours. So it's very comforting. But yeah, I've cut back on it in recent years. I realize how bad it is for me.
Yeah.
All right. Make sure to follow us on social media for more of our nonsense. Go check out those links in the podcast description below. Go visit royalsreview.com for the great work going on over there. And last but certainly not least, we always appreciate a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening to. We've got some spammers on Apple Podcasts that we are currently trying to combat. So absolutely hate to see that. If you want us to reach more Royals fans, that's the best way you can support it. Share with your friends. Leave us a good review. It doesn't have to be 5 stars, really. If you think we're a 4-star podcast, that's okay. That's still a win in my book. But once again, my name is Jacob Milham. He is Jeremy Greco. And until next time, go Royals!